What do you see as to why the reason is that it's not coming along as fast as others would like it to see?
Well, just, for example, so you have a running play, you have a tight end that's in motion, takes a bad angle to the linebacker he's responsible for on the second level. The linebacker runs free and blows up the play. And then you have a guard and a back that are confused in their responsibilities on pass blocking pickups. And so they both go after one guy, they let a guy run free, blows up the whole play. And then what I want to see, especially out of the offensive line, the key ingredient in play action passing is the offensive line and the way they sell the play. So if you're going to have play action responsibilities, then give me my guys in a 3-point stance.
Anything that Tyson, can you understand? Like, I know all words mean different things, but like, were calls that long when you played as well?
Not really. And, and I think everybody in there is just listening for their catchphrase and the snap count. And the only one that really needs to know exactly everything what it means to all the other 10 guys is the quarterback. But I think whenever you are involved in an offense long enough, you understand everything that's being said in there. And by the time, seventh year in the Ditka offense, everything you hear in the huddle out of the quarterback's voice, you know exactly what he's saying, the direction of the protection, the route that's going to be run, who has the blitz pickup, who's the hot receiver, and all that kind of stuff. So the longer you're in it, the better you get to know it, the better you get to know it, the better you play.
Tom, what stayed with you today after what you saw practicing against the Dolphins?
One thing, I was a little disappointed in the tempo, because I thought that they've been practicing harder against themselves that they did today against the Dolphins. And maybe it was the Dolphins wanting to wind it down a little bit. And then you look at some of the mistakes that were made. And, we're not here blaming one guy that's making all the mistakes. Everybody has their hand in it. And that's kind of the thing that you need to clean up between now and the Minnesota game on that Monday night. And I think it is going to be a learning process. You're going to have to speed up. You're going to have to speed everything up, and then maybe that's winding down some of the information that you're teaching. And I think will benefit everybody, but everybody has a hand in making sure that they're into their tablet enough and studying what they need to see in order to have this thing run more efficiently.
Tom Thayer, who is entering his 29th year of broadcasting Bears games, Super Bowl champion, all-around great guy, and the Commissioner Common Sense, brought to you by UI Health, exceptional care for you. To learn more, visit uihealth.care. We played the clip, Tom, of Ben Johnson saying, look, it's very inconsistent right now. There's not the cohesion that you want to see from the offense. You've been there almost daily. What do you see as to why the reason is that it's not coming along as fast as others would like it to see?
Well, just, for example, so you have a running play, you have a tight end that's in motion, takes a bad angle to the linebacker he's responsible for on the second level. The linebacker runs free and blows up the play. And then you have a guard and a back that are confused in their responsibilities on pass blocking pickups. And so they both go after one guy, they let a guy run free, blows up the whole play. And then what I want to see, especially out of the offensive line, the key ingredient in play action passing is the offensive line and the way they sell the play. So if you're going to have play action responsibilities, then give me my guys in a 3-point stance, because you create more leverage, you create more deception, you can come off more aggressively with your helmets low to really affect the second and third level. And then, you have another thing where when you have these condensed formations and you have wide receivers at the end of the line of scrimmage that have a meaningful block, they have to understand they have a meaningful block. So they run a condensed formation, a wide receiver on the end of the line of scrimmage. He doesn't get his block. The defensive back comes in, blows up the play. And that's the type of play that you get Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker. They thrive on that type of opportunity, but it's affecting the Bears offense. And then you have another player comes in motion, has a backside pass blocking responsibility that really affects the protection of the play, and he oversteps it. Now he gets himself in bad position. And that's the key here, is the longer you run these type of plays and the better you get to know them, you have to understand how not to hurt yourself. And that could be simple as cutting down your split for a tackle to a guard, making sure you don't give too long of a path for a defensive player to have a two-way go. And, these are the things that are going to be repetitiously learned when Ben starts rerunning this information through the remainder of training camp leading up to that Minnesota game.
And Tom, with all of that as the backdrop, with all of those issues, would you be an advocate of this entire starting offense to be getting some snaps on Sunday against the Dolphins in preseason football?
Are you asking me, the old man, or what I'm seeing? Listen, I was raised, T. Waddle, and so were you, that don't ever ask how many plays you're going to play, because that's the first way to get into our coaching era's doghouse. And for me, I always want guys coming to the locker room with a purpose. And that means you're getting dressed and you're putting your uniform on to play a game. And that's the atmosphere I need inside that locker room, of guys having that seriousness of knowing that they're going out there and play. And then if you want to go out there and play them 6, 7, 8 reps and then get them out of there, then fine. But get dressed with a purpose, but that's not modern day football. So Sunday they ran 95 offensive plays at the stadium. Then the next padded practice, they ran 75. Today the offense ran 73 plays. Now they'll have a day off tomorrow, and then they'll go in and play on Sunday. I need it to be constructed well enough where I'm not fatiguing a guy so they're not ready for the stretch of the 17 games, but I also have to take all the learning curve into account when I'm watching what they do on the day-to-day practice field. So I think, listening to the Carmen Yurko, listening to your guys' show, it's like a politician. 50% of the people are going to hate my answer, and 50% of the people are going to be okay with it. I always went to the locker room with the understanding that I was there to put my uniform on to go out and play. And I wish that was just the same scenario that was set in the modern day NFL.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the good going on. Tom, I tweeted out today about Zacchaeus, who continues each and every practice to just show up, be consistent. He dropped the ball today, and it was shocking to me because it was the first time I've seen him drop a ball, but he followed it up with 4 or 5 more good plays. He doesn't make a lot of money, and I think he's a perfect role guy. What have you seen from him, and who are some of the other names that you like what you're seeing?
Yeah, I like Zacchaeus as well. When you look at him, he's not the biggest guy, 5'8", 199. So he's the type of guy that has to make his presence known with whomever quarterback he's getting reps with. And a lot of the reps he's been getting with is either Tyson and Case. And so, maybe with the experiences of Case or the more of a familiarity right now by Tyson, maybe they're into a better rhythm right now when they're playing with Zacchaeus rather than, DJ and Rome and the rest of the guys that have been running with the first unit. Monangai he's really an interesting character because I like Roschon and what he can offer this offense on the physical part of it, the dirty yards that Ben talks about. But I think when you look at Monangai, you have to see when this offense really starts fine-tuning, where is his role going to be? Is it going to be actually on first down carries? Is it going to be on second and long in the passing game? Or are they going to be able to rely on him for pass blocking responsibilities? I like what Colston Loveland is offering. And I don't want him to be, Jeff and I were talking about during practice today going, oh, he could really be a safety check, or he could be that guy that's, can be a check down route. I don't want him to be that. I want him to be part of the downfield passing attack because he's one of the more difficult guys to match up with. He's bigger than defensive backs, and he runs as fluently and as fast as the linebackers do. So I like to see what he's doing. I still think there's a lot of interest in the offensive line. And Braxton Jones has experience, but you got Ozzie Trapillo. He's got the size and the strength that you would like to see if he could really develop into that guy. And, you're going to have to feed him some reps, and the better he gets to know this offense, he's going to have to be a guy to understand how not to put himself in a bad position and always understand where you're vulnerable and where your help can come from. Those types of guys have caught my eye, but no one's getting cheated on reps here, Silvy. And that's the great thing about this competition is no one's going to be able to leave this training camp and say, I didn't get my fair share, because every single guy that's getting evaluated is getting their fair share.
Tom, let's focus on the left tackle competition a little bit more, because this is where I trust your eye as much or more than anybody. When you look at Ozzie Trapillo, I'll say Ozzie Trapillo, to me, a monster of a man, doesn't quite look comfortable on the left side right now. Braxton Jones doesn't look 100% healthy to me with regard to his base. Am I way off at what I'm looking at, or do you concur with some of that?
I do concur. And that's why I always say, if I was talking to Ozzie Trapillo, I would say, Ozzie, you got to get into your playbook and you got to know exactly where your help is coming from. Is my help in cutting my split down to Joe Thuney? Is my help not oversetting a wide 9 defensive end so I don't give him that inside path? Is it where the tight end that's next to me, knowing that he can give me that right-hand punch before he goes out on his route? So Ozzie Trapillo can expedite his playing potential the better he knows every one of his assignments and not how to put himself in a negative position. Because when you go and you watch him in one-on-ones today, and he goes out there and he has an immediate confrontation on a one-on-one because the defensive end knows exactly what the drill is, he's got the ability to, boom, create that stalemate, and then he's got the ability to fight and recover. And that's what I like to see out of a big, strong left tackle, is that ability to absorb, reconstruct your blocking frame, and then recover as well. But the thing about it, he has those traits, but his real opportunity to come out here and play as a young kid is making sure he understands his assignments and his help so well that maybe, when we were in the huddle and I knew that I needed a little help from Jay or something, it's as easy as listening to the play called and bumping elbows in the huddle, knowing, look, dude, I need to rely upon you because I'm going to take this aggressive set. And it's the same thing with Ozzie. You go there and you got a guy that's as fundamentally as sound as any player I've ever seen on the inside as Joe Thuney. And so these guys get to know each other perfectly and all of their playing habits, that Joe Thuney can help Ozzie Trapillo play a little bit before he's experienced ready. He's just got, the size and the frame and the strength.
And
were you able to
look like I was just going to say, Silly, real quick. And does Braxton look like he's still trying to recover from that ankle surgery to you?
He does, but I'm not disappointed in where he's at. I'm not looking at him as, a reclamation project. It's just that Braxton, he's been there. He's got the experience. He understands the talent level of the NFL. He does use his length really well. He's a super smart guy. He's not going to go out there and make mental errors. But, that's the competition of the sport. You got one guy that's, almost 6'8" and 315. And then you got Braxton Jones, who's still recovering from that ankle injury that probably interrupted his offseason strength preparation a little bit. But I'm not saying I'm tossing Braxton aside. No, I love the fact that you have this type of competition, so each player has to go out there every day and give their best. And I think the offensive line coach is a really versed guy in developing both of these types of players.
Were you able to say hello to Dan Marino today?
Only because Tom Waddle introduced me to him.
Stop it.
Yes,
Waddle,
we did.
Did you run into him?
Yes. Me and Waddle were standing out in front talking, and Marino walked up. And, yes, I got there early, so I was sitting there. And on the field, I talked to Dan for a while, and I knew he was waiting for Jimbo to show up. And it's always a big thrill. I played in the Hula Bowl with Dan Marino when I was a senior in college, we played Pitt at Pitt, and got to know him then, and got to know him a lot also through Jimbo because they were roommates in their college days at Pitt.